and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corrine Sandifer, your host. Each week I interview a business owner or an author, and we chat about what it takes to build a business or how they became published authors. We also discuss topics that we can all relate to, such as work-life balance, living with intention, and dreaming big. As these women share their stories with us, it's my hope that you will be encouraged to live out your own story. I have some great guests coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you're connected with me on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm at Corrine Sandifer on both Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to leave a comment on iTunes, as this helps others find the show. My guest today is Jessica Bates. She is the owner and founder of Jack and Ella Paper. She makes beautiful cards, stationery, and a killer to-do list notepad that I just fell in love with. Today, Jessica and I talk about having to make choices as moms and business owners, and we also talk about font designers and having an accountability colleague to keep us motivated in our work. So important. She also shares a very unique app with us for those of us who love magazines and can't get enough. Here's my conversation with Jessica, owner and founder of...
I am Jessica Bates, and I run a stationery paper goods studio, Jack and Ella Paper, which is named after my children.
And you have two kids?
Two kids. Ella is going to be 15 in 2 days, and Jack is 17. So I can't even believe I'm saying that. They're old, which means I'm old.
15 and 17. So you
Yes.
are right in the thick of teenage life.
Yes, I'm signing my youngest up for driver's ed today. So,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Wow. Do they both attend the same school?
Yeah.
Oh,
The high school is actually very close to our home, so it's nice and convenient.
that's nice. Well, I found you, Jack and Ella Paper. I can't remember where. It must have been on Instagram. I think I was watching something that someone had posted about a certain notepad, and it had exactly what I wanted. It had the week at a glance, so, kind of where I could fill
Yeah.
in stuff. And then,
Yeah.
because I like to have a week at a glance, and I like to have it on paper. And I like to
I do.
just carry it with me in my purse, pull it out if I need to check what's going on that day, or even just like what's happening as far as dinner and stuff. So I loved it, and I ordered it, and I was like, wow. And then I started reading about you, and I thought, I wonder if she'll come on. So I'm super excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
How did you get started with doing stationery? Did you start with stationery, or how did this dream come to fruition?
I did start with stationery. Wow. I graduated from college not knowing what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, I didn't go into anything artistic or graphic design or anything because I just felt like there was no money to be made. That was kind of my mindset. But I've always been drawn to that type of thing. And so after college, I got married, I don't know, maybe 5 years after college. I should have done the math here, but I designed my own wedding invitations, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I would do our Christmas cards and that type of thing. And people started asking me to do theirs, some weddings and some holiday cards. So I just kind of tinkered with it on the side for a while and didn't feel like work at all. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I felt awkward charging people money because it was just fun for me. And then when I had children and they got a little older and started going into elementary school, I had a little extra time and opened an Etsy shop. And so that's kind of where it started. Etsy makes it so easy to kind of just dabble in it without a big investment. And it just took off. I I'm so forever grateful for Etsy for getting me started.
And did you feel so it was easy to go into Etsy. And so after you were doing Etsy for a while, how did you have a website at that time or did you just do Etsy?
I just did Etsy, and I just did Etsy for several years because it was really just a part-time gig.
Mm-hmm.
As my children were small, it's, I stayed at home with them, and the more they spent time at school, the more time I had to dabble in it. So it transitioned kind of with the growth of my family.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could probably be further along than I am now if I devoted more time to it, but yet I feel comfortable looking back as to how much time I spent with it when the kids were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm blessed that way that I have a husband with a good job and health insurance that I could just dabble and go at my own pace, and forever grateful for that, because if it weren't for that, it would have been a lot more difficult to follow this path.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice to hear about the fact that you were just doing what you could with the time that you had. And I feel like
Exactly.
sometimes there are entrepreneurs or there are people that want to realize their dreams that end up being so hard on themselves because they
Yeah.
aren't further along. But
Yes.
as I talk with women, it's like we all have to make choices in life. And sometimes we're making a greater choice to stay home with our families or have those, and it's every day. I mean, I have to make
Yes.
choices every day whether or not I'm going to work 9 hours or 6 hours. Am I going to attend a school function or am I going to, work later so that I can attend a school function? And maybe I could have devoted more time to my business, but I'm making a conscious decision to only do the hours that I can't that I'm allowed to do while, or not allowed, that's not the right word, but that I
Right.
can do while my kids are at school so that I can,
Absolutely.
and so that sounds like something that you did. And I think that that is very admirable. And also I think people kind of second guess themselves about whether or not they're doing the right thing. But I think when you look back, I mean, have you looked back and said, well, yeah, I could have been here, but I did spend some great time, with my
Yeah.
family.
And honestly, occasionally it still happens, with social media and seeing behind the scenes on many, many businesses. And I follow a lot of inspirational paper goods stores as well. And, you know, some of them have started after me and are a lot further along than me. And sometimes I pause and I think, it's a feeling of immediate frustration. And then I look back and I think I won't have any regrets because of the way I did things. And it's not how everybody, wants. I mean, I completely respect moms that work full time. I have a lot of friends that work full time, and it's all a matter of individual preference. But I feel like I can look back and not have regrets in that area because of that's how I did it. So I gently have to remind myself when I do see other designers and stuff that are just absolutely killing it and they started after me. So
Yeah.
I think that's just part of it. I think everybody's kind of guilty of doing the comparison factor, but I'm forever grateful that this job has allowed me to have my own identity and my own passion project, but yet I was still able to be there for my kids when they needed me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so how far were you how long did it take from you getting your Etsy to getting so now most of your things are from your website? Or would you say that people
Yes.
are still buying a whole lot on Etsy or like what's the
Just I just started my website in 2015. So it took quite a while. And I actually created it myself on Squarespace, which I never thought I'd be able to do. And at one point I was nominated for a Martha Stewart American Made Award.
Oh, wow.
As a finalist. I was nominated, and it lit a fire under me to get my website done, because once that went live, I didn't want them to click on my link and go to my Etsy shop. I kind of wanted more of my own identity. And so it worked, and it got me really working hard on my website, and I got it up. Now I'm actually in the process of redesigning a website and rebranding. So that's a whole nother thing. And I don't have that fire under me right now. No, I'm just caught up in day-to-day business activities, but hopefully I'll get it done soon.
What does your day-to-day look like?
Every day's different, which probably is one of the reasons it's kind of fun and is never dull. There's never a dull day, but I try to stay on top of orders as much as possible. So I do hit the post office probably 5 days a week. And so I spend a good portion of my day packing, shipping. If it's an exceptionally busy week, I do get the kids to join me and help. They don't love it, but they do, on breaks and stuff, they will help. And I do, like I said, I'm working on a new website and communicating with customers, marketing, social media. There's so many hats when you're doing it on your own, which I'm at the point where I'm still able to do that. But there's never a dull moment. There's never boredom. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do like that about, owning your own business. Is there isn't a dull day, and there's always something else, something going on. It always looks different every day, and you can set your own hours, which is good. But up until, I tell my friends who have 9-to-5 jobs, I'm like, yeah, I set my own hours, but you don't see, I can run out and go to lunch with my husband, who also owns his own business. During the day, it's nice to have that option when my son's at school, but at the same time, they're not seeing that I'm working late into the evening, or I'm working on a Sunday afternoon where I really would like to just relax and, be outside. To make up for some of those times. It just depends, on the week and what's happened. So, well, tell me what inspires you when you are creating your cards?
Well, a lot of things inspire me. Different fonts and typefaces, I'm a little obsessed with. So anytime I see a new one that I'm drawn to, I immediately picture how that will look on stationery. I don't know. I like Pinterest. You get caught up in Pinterest and it doesn't have to be on stationery, like interior design and that type of thing, just aesthetics of different areas inspire me. And it's not all the time. It's just like some, just randomly things come to mind. And I'm constantly, my head is so full of things I want to do. It's not even funny.
How do you put them out into the world? Like, not into the world, but how do you flesh them out from where they're in your head? If you've got ideas, do you write them down? Do you have a notebook or?
Yeah, I do have, I have several notebooks, and I work with, I'm so lucky. I have a friend and font designer that's actually local in the Madison area. Her name's Ray Kaiser of Outside the Line Fonts. And just a backstory, I had lived in Florida for several years before we relocated back to the Midwest. And that was right when I started dabbling in stationery. And she created like little doodles and fonts, and I loved her work. And I think she lived in Minnesota at the time. And I reached out to her to see about using one of her fonts in a logo. I was at the very early stages and used some of her doodles in my products. And at the time, she wasn't doing it, like commercial work, so I couldn't do it. And then when I relocated to Madison, I reached out to her again. It's not like me to be that persistent, but I did. And she's like, actually, I changed my company around a little bit, and I do work with royalties and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll most of like the little cute doodles and stuff that I use on my cards is her talent that I use on my cards. And we have since become great friends. We meet for once a month at a coffee house and discuss business and vision. And it's like one of my favorite things about my job is collaborating with her on things. And so I'm so lucky I have her, and we have the same, I think, sense of style and taste and work really well together. And like our last project was the pussy hat cards that I created. And I threw her the idea to her, and within a week, she probably actually closer to a few days, she had artwork for me. And that same day I created the cards and put them on Instagram, and they're selling like crazy. So like, just like boom, boom, boom. It's not like a huge corporation where it has to go through all these different things and revisions and stuff. We just, create it, print it out, photograph it, and
That is
it's fun.
great. I
Yeah.
love that. And that card stood out to me too as I was looking at your website this morning. And I thought, oh, this is so cute. I could, totally recommend these to a few of my friends who love cats, are obsessed with cats,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a lot of people in America.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, that's so cool. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a font designer. I don't know why I didn't think that, but I just,
Yeah, and she's a unique one. She doesn't just do font typefaces, but she primarily does doodles in font form. So just
wow.
really cute little drawings that she is beyond talented. So I'm so fortunate that I know her and can use her talent as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love fonts. It's like I don't get enough time to look at them, but I get frustrated when I'm limited in fonts for certain things.
Yes.
Fonts do, I don't know, they do something to you, I think. They make you feel a certain way,
Definitely.
almost like music.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. And so, how often, so when you meet with your friend, that's where your creative juices start flowing too, and they kind of come.
We do sometimes collaborate on ideas, but more so we just kind of go over things we want to do in our own businesses separately and goals, and then kind of try to hold each other accountable. Because as you probably know, when you're kind of a solopreneur and you're doing it on your own, it's nice to have someone hold you accountable a little bit for your goals. So we try to set goals each month for ourselves, and then when we meet, we go over what we've done and what worked and what didn't work. And I don't know, it's refreshing to get out and
That
just discuss that type of stuff.
Yeah, that is very important as an owner of your own business, just because you we tend to be a little self-consumed and just seeing what we have to do. And sometimes when we're sharing that with someone else, and I'm a verbal processor, so when I'm sharing that with someone, um, either I change it or I say, I need to reach a little bit higher, or
Right,
it does kind of spur you on to meet with someone
right,
else. So that's really good. That's a really cool relationship and friendship, and the fact that y'all work together and collaborate. That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Jessica, what is your favorite app that you've enjoyed using with your business?
Um, for my business, um,
Or it doesn't have
I,
to
I,
be. What's your
well, I
favorite
have a
app?
couple.
Oh, yeah, tell
besides
me.
Instagram, of course.
Yes.
One, I don't use this every day, but it is a game changer, is Genius Scan. I don't know if you're familiar, but you
Yes.
don't need a scanner in your life when you have it.
I
It's
love
amazing.
that.
It's free. It's nice.
Yeah. That is a
And I
great
love
app.
Mint for finances, Texture for magazine reading. There's so many.
What is
Yeah.
texture?
Texture is online magazines,
Oh my
and it is
goodness.
subscription based, but you
Hmm.
have like almost every magazine at your fingertips.
Wow.
It's a total game changer. I used to be a complete magazine junkie and have them all over my house, and now I do not buy magazines.
Wow. So
My
now
husband,
you just buy the subscription
yes. Well,
and
what you do, it's $10 a month for the regular, or if you do premium that includes weekly magazines like People and stuff, then it's 15. So it sounds like a lot, but there's so many magazines in there, and you're not subscribing to any,
wow.
individual subscriptions. So,
Can you look at it on your desktop at all? Or is it
that's a good question.
or is it just
I've
app?
only looked at it on my iPad, so
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure.
I wonder because I don't have an iPad, so I would want
Yeah,
to look at it on a bigger screen. But
yeah.
do they have Domino? Domino's like my favorite
I
magazine.
think they do. I'm pretty sure they do.
And because Domino has gotten fancy pants and high and mighty, they're charging an arm and a leg for a subscription. Like,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
oh, so when Domino first started, I mean, they were just average, price for
Yeah.
now they have like Vogue price for a subscription.
Huh.
And you know what happened was they were in print and then they went under and stopped.
I remember when they went under. I do.
And it was my favorite, by far my favorite magazine. I mean, I still have a few copies in my garage, I think, that I just loved. I loved all the articles. There were some great writers that wrote for
Yeah.
Domino, and just they were ahead of the times, I think, and it was just simple. So it's kind of like the Simple magazine. Is that a magazine?
I love Real
Yeah,
Simple.
real
Yeah. And by the
simple.
way, I just looked it up and they do have Domino on there.
Wonderful. I'm going for it. I'm going in. Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to
You're
check
welcome.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, are you a reader? Do you like to read?
I do like to read. I am not a fiction reader at all. But I love, and I know this sounds silly, but I love cookbooks. I love almost reading cookbooks.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I love self-development books.
Hmm.
And right now I'm reading that Goop Clean Beauty, Gwyneth Paltrow,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm a total believer. I've drank the Kool-Aid. She's got so many good, and the website. Are you familiar with Goop, the
I
blog?
used to follow Goop. It's been a while. I felt like she was doing things I didn't like. I'm like, I can't afford all that. But then
Yeah,
I
some
hear it's
of it is.
better.
Yeah, there's just I don't know, just I've learned a lot since I started reading it. But I agree with you. Some of the stuff I wouldn't practice, but some of it's pretty enlightening.
I'll have to check it out. So, does she have a book and it's called
It's
Clean
called
Beauty?
Clean Beauty.
Clean Beauty?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay. No, I didn't know she had that out. I just knew about the blog or the website. But
Yeah.
yeah, I used to get her newsletters and they were interesting. I liked when she would travel and talk about restaurants. Oh, there's your
Yes.
talkie. Well, what are your three favorite things? I always ask people what three favorite things are you just loving these days?
Um, right now, I would say hot yoga because I live in the Midwest and it's winter. and it's like completely enjoyable.
Yeah.
And we had talked Sunday night HBO Big Little Lies. Pretty obsessed with that right now.
Yes. I love that show. It's, it used to be it's a book, but it's also now a show.
I
And they're
won't read the
gonna,
book.
you what? You're not gonna read the book?
I won't read the book.
No,
I
I
just
won't
want to
either.
watch the, yeah.
Well, and we're pretty excited here in Nashville because we have two Nashville-based actresses on there. Reese Witherspoon grew up here, and Nicole Kidman lives here. She lives
Yeah.
about, I don't know, 10 miles from me. So that's
awesome.
not far, but we go to the same Starbucks, so there's that.
That's
But
so cool.
I don't ever see her as much as I see him a lot. So,
Yeah.
but so that's, he's not too bad on the eyes either. But I would die if I saw her. She's like, I would totally like goofy out with her, fangirl her.
Well, that probably makes the show even more fun for you.
Yeah. So what else? What other things?
Gosh, this sounds cheesy, but my dogs. I am obsessed with my dogs all the time. That never goes away. How
many dogs do you have?
We have 3 rescue dogs. Untrained. They're being naughty right now as we speak. But my whole family is dog lovers. We're all dog lovers.
Yeah. We have one dog. Her name's Bella, and she's a really good dog, except she's not very loyal. So she's a rescue dog as well, but she will just go with anybody and leave us. And, she bolts. She's part Greyhound and part Collie. She's a mix. And we just know, I have a collar and we've got her, our name and number, and she'll just like take off. She'll be, clear across town before.
I have one like that too, and she's my favorite one, and it's insulting to me that I don't meet. She doesn't care about me enough.
Yeah. I'm like, we feed you, we give you treats, we give you bacon, and you're still not going to come back. She just doesn't come back. Somebody has to call us if she escapes. A lot of times she'll, when I'm taking her for a walk, if I, something happens and I let go of the leash, she'll be gone. So, but it bothers me too that she's not more loyal than she should be. But anyway, well, thanks, Jessica, so much for coming on. This has been
Thank you
so
for having
fun.
me.
And
it was fun.
Super excited to see more of your creations. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jessica. I love that she still enjoys her work. And it's always good to meet a fellow magazine lover. Don't you just love that app? I'm totally going to subscribe. It sounds wonderful. If you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode, no worries, because all of the information from this show will be in the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com. Music is by Ben Sound, and this podcast has been sponsored by Brentwood Life Coach. Thanks again for listening, and keep rising in your own story.